Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
Hi, welcome to our new series where we're taking children's games and hopefully telling you which ones you can utilize in the home to reinforce what they're learning at school or utilize them as homeschool vehicles. A lot of these cool games have a lot of mechanisms and things going on inside the games that can reinforce or teach new concepts to children. Today we're looking at Who's Who in the Zoo by Haba Games. This is a great game to learn about animals and their weights and which one's heavier and kind of just introduce those concepts. This is a rare game that actually can grow with the kids. It's okay if they know some of these answers. It's okay, because the better they get at it, the quicker they are. Who's Who's going to have you looking at animals in 3 different ways. How long they are, how much they weigh, and how fast they are. Now, this is just going to be a way for people to categorize things. So you can use this in a few different ways. 1, knowledge of animals. You can identify animals and which animals are in this game. 2, you can identify them by are they bigger or smaller, or get very specific about the weights. Same thing with lengths. How much longer are they, or how much taller are they? And that can be a great comparison you can do. The third way is speed. You can talk about how quickly they are. And as you're learning about animals with the young kids, you can teach them these animals and then compare them perhaps with the ones that they've already been taught about, so their knowledge can grow upon each other. This is a really fun game for us, my wife and I, to use inside our homeschooling classrooms in our home. Fantastic way to introduce animals. So we have a 7-year-old right now and currently a 4-year-old, and when you use this as a younger one to identify them and start learning the concepts, and the older one has a lot of fun just learning about the weight and their concepts and then teaching her little brother these concepts also. Very, very cool and very, very fun. Who's Who in the Zoo? Let's take a look. So what you're going to see in the front of the box is a bunch of animals. It's brought by Haba, who's one of the premier children's games maker. You get a number of these little tokens. You're going to get an app advertisement. You're going to get a list of all the animals in the game. This is a great reference point. You're going to get a rule book for multiple languages, which is normal for Haba. A number of these cardboard boards and some tiles that will come in the game. So the game is going to be set up. You're going to have 3 locations. You're going to have the speed, the height, and the weight. You're going to have a stack of cards with a riddle, and whoever's turn it is will take one, and he knows that he is dealing with this particular animal. He will put this face down so he knows, and then the other players will take turns drawing these cards, and they will put these in one of the locations. Either they can put it in speed, they can put it in height, or they can put it on here. So let's say he was putting it on here and he has this little animal, which is obviously lighter than a camel, right? The raccoon doesn't weigh as much as a camel, so he would say the camel is weighing more. If he had put the camel here, he would say, okay, the camel is taller. Or if he put it here, he would say the camel was faster. If the kid doesn't know, if the kid isn't sure, there are information here in meters, kilograms, and kilometers per hour that you can always refer to. And it's also put in feet, pounds, and miles per hour, depending on where you live. So if you're unsure, you can remark here. It's a great opportunity for kids to learn what they're doing. This also slows the game down a little bit because, you know, what's faster, pigeon or guinea pig? I mean, or which one's bigger, or, you know, what weighs more, fly or honeybee? It can be very particular. You know, if you had a snail and a polar bear, well, heck, we know which one it is. But if it gets really close, it can be really tight. But that's why you have this handy-dandy reference guide. And then players will take the reference sheet and they will guess if they're right. They might say panda bear, and you would say, no, that is incorrect. You can mark it off with a token. And if somebody guesses correct, they get a free card to utilize as a point, and the person that drew this at the beginning gets to keep this card as a point. So that's how you play the game. This game probably skews more towards educational than it does game. The game itself, yeah, it's a mechanism to be talking about these animals, almost like a party game where the game itself doesn't matter because you're having a good time. This is more of an activity that you would utilize with the children to learn about these animals. And the game is there, but they'll quickly grow bored of the game itself. The game there isn't that great. It's really just flip over a card and talk about it, right? As a game, I would say this is not a game that you would want to buy. This isn't a game you'd be buying just to play the game because the game is so fantastic. Instead, this is an educational instrument that you'll be utilizing to reinforce or to learn new concepts. I think this can be a very powerful tool to do so. Even though this one leans heavily on the education, I feel like that's okay because it's going to be masked inside of the game. I think if you were to sit down and try to teach children just these concepts of these animals and their speed, I think they'd be very bored very quickly. But because there's a tad bit of a game attached to it, they're going to like this and pick up on it. If you have a kid who's really into animals, this would be a really fun one. Now, if you want to introduce math into it, this isn't a rule book, but if you want to introduce math, you can say an elephant weighs this much, a bird weighs this much. How much more does an elephant weigh? And you subtract it out. Or how many birds does it take to equal an elephant? Then you're doing a little bit of multiplication perhaps. So there are ways to get math into this if you want to reinforce math in a fun way with these animals. But that's not in the rule set itself, but it's something that we've done to add to this game to make it more of a learning opportunity. I would love to see what you guys have done to utilize this game in your home classrooms or to reinforce what they're learning in school. Please come back and comment. Tell me what you're doing or any other games that you'd like to comment on in the future. I'd be happy to hear about.